been dead a long time. Fossilized. Looks like it's grown up.
With a career spanning 6 decades, English naturalist Sir David Attenborough is synonymous with documentaries. From Rwanda to the depths of the Antarctic, the British broadcaster has changed what we think we know about the world and set the benchmark for filmmakers to come.
Off the back of Galapagos 3D and the recent release of the Africa series, Attenborough has sparked public interest with news he'll be heading down under this June. The Life on Earth speaking tour will take audiences on a journey through his incredible life and all of the untold stories. So what is it about Attenborough that we just can't get enough of?
Well, I think, it's his dedication to his job and doing the things that he loves doing for so long. He's just a real inspiration to a lot of people, I think.
Absolutely, and he's very much dedicated not just to his profession but also to a cause. He's bringing things that we think we know about the world, or things that we have no idea about, and he's bringing them into the homes of people. That's quite phenomenal.
Oh, absolutely, and the quality of his films is just it's unbelievable. Like, you can't believe that he goes out there with his crew, his team, in the middle of nowhere, these high-speed cameras to capture some of the things that he captures, and they don't happen overnight. It can be 3, 4, 5 months just waiting for that one shot. So a lot of dedication to his job.
I mean, some of the things he does, he really does put himself on the line along with his whole team.
For sure.
There was one out in the Amazon. They spent months out in the Amazon looking for a lost tribe. They woke up in the middle of the night with these people with human skulls standing over them. They found the tribe. It was crazy.
And how old's he now? He's in his 60s, so
yeah, he's quite old.
He's getting on to be doing that. It's quite phenomenal, really.
Yeah, I think one of the most amazing things for me with his work is back in the day you would have to go to your Encyclopedia Britannica to sort of to learn about these things, and there's one thing to read about the Antarctic or something like that in an encyclopedia, but to see it brought to life on the screen, it's really quite phenomenal, and the imagery is so sharp. And I think that my only regret about his work is that imagine how amazing, much more amazing his work would be in 50 years' time with new technology. But for what the technology that he's had to work with and the evolution of technology, I think he's done an incredible job.
Absolutely. And the lengths that he goes, like you say, he goes to the middle of the Amazon looking for lost tribes. He goes to the Antarctica just to get shots of the penguins and evolution, how he goes to Galapagos Island and does all the research. Like, it's crazy. It must take him months and months and months just in research alone. And
you can imagine the number of people on set. Like, there's the obvious people that we think about when a program is made. You have your camera and you have your supervisors and your writers and producers. But for these trips, like you're saying, they're quite long trips. So you can imagine just everything from caterers, safety officers, so many different positions that you would never even think about. Massive crews, up to 100 people on location at any given time. Especially in areas where you don't have contact back home, out in the middle of the Amazon, middle of the Antarctic, you can't just text someone. Right. I read actually that there's a whole team of IT specialists that look at just the comms, just information coming in, fact-checking coming in. It's quite a phenomenal event. Yeah, like the crew must be very highly praised in his work. Because what they do, all lengths. Can you get paid enough to go down and dive in the water in Antarctica, set up a camera and go back down and get it? I mean, the things you would see though would be an incredible experience. Oh, absolutely. Like, even watching behind his scenes, the lengths that he goes to get the shots of the polar bears and the cubs, he's got a jib on a little life raft and they're sitting there and going, it's crazy. Absolutely. And you see the way that his work is now introduced into education and into schools, that's really quite remarkable in terms of, when I went to school, obviously he was out and he was doing his thing, but for the kids these days to be able to see his work in the classroom, that really takes that ability to educate them about these parts of the world to a whole new level. Yeah, he really brings his documentaries to life, and you get sucked into them and you just want to keep watching, and the shots that he gets, the cinematography in it, it's just amazing. Absolutely, it takes a talented person to lead that group. Oh, now, he's built quite a brand for himself as well, so it's not just the shows that we've been looking at. He's got books and magazines and websites and all kinds of different ways that people can access his information. Now, one of the new series that came out this year was Galapagos 3D, and that just finished up. Did either of you have a chance to see that? I didn't, but I have been watching a bit of that Africa series, which is starting out in Channel 10 this year, and it's great. Lots of crazy stuff with cheetahs and all that kind of stuff. It's really good. Yeah. I've been really lucky enough to go to the Galapagos, and people always say, oh, it's so much better when you're there. It's so much better when you watch David Attenborough there. I went and I really liked it. I thought I took some great photos. I thought on my iPhone I took great video, but when I came back and I got to see what he did with it, I feel like I went to a different place. I feel like through his eyes, and I guess that's what the great thing about him is, that you see the world through his eyes and through his interpretation. Yeah, and his knowledge is quite superior. Like how he narrates his show.
It's not boring. He's got so much information there. He must be like a walking, talking encyclopedia.
You can imagine. You can imagine. Do you think if we were to look at his work, say in 50 years' time, with new technology, you know, technology's advanced. Look at where we were 50 years ago with filmmaking and television industry technology. Imagine what kind of work he would produce in 50 years' time.
I mean, just over the past 20, 30 years, he's had huge jumps in technology. I was reading that's what allowed him to do a lot of the documentaries on insects and frogs and that kind of thing, just because the technology has improved so much. So in 50 years. Yeah,
well, imagine what it was back like doing it on film. You know, how expensive film was, and, you know, you're sitting there trying to film a flower blossom. Yeah. You know, you could go with 2K's worth, 3K's worth of film, to now it's all digital, and I guess your capturing speed's a lot faster as well. You know, you could probably just download everything into your laptop, send it to your editors straight away, and as he's filming, it's getting edited.
Absolutely. One of my favourite things that he does is the time lapse. I think that allows us to be able to see. It's something that we can't see for ourselves. I don't know about you, but I don't have 3 days to sit and watch a flower open. Yeah. To be able to see that on time lapse, I think it's incredible.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
What do you think is it that we love so much about the work that he does? Because we're a nation that watches, we're a culture that watches. We watch reality TV. We watch people living in a house together with no storyline whatsoever. And on the complete other end of the spectrum, we can sit and watch him for hours. What is it about his work that you think that really gets people?
I mean, he's doing the things we can't, basically. I mean, everyone would love to go to Galapagos Islands, but they can't. And just to see those things, you know, so up close, it's a great experience.
I think, too, the way you say, like, through his eyes, no one can do what David Attenborough does, you know. No one can tell the stories like he tells them. So I think he's just a league above the rest.
Is there a part of the world that you would love to see him work on, or an area that you haven't seen covered by him that you would like to?
I'd love to see more underwater stuff. Yeah, I have this weird obsession with sharks, but I won't go in the water. Yeah. So I'd love to see him do it.
Actually, that's the same with me. I'd like to see him do some underwater stuff, particularly lost cities and shipwrecks and things underwater. We can go down and sort of explore some of the cities.
Maybe
the
Titanic or something like that.
You never know. I'm surprised he hasn't touched that. I guess that's James Cameron's area, right? Now, we talked about the technology and we talked about the crew that go out there. Do you think that it's a challenge for him to continually make something new, that people don't just look at it and go, oh, this is the same format, different area?
I thought you'd have more troubles with the danger, you know, going out there, like you said, going out to the Antarctic and looking at polar bears. You know, what if they turn on you? Going into the water, you know, looking at sharks, all that kind of stuff. What if something goes wrong? And it is such a risky business where something could so easily go wrong. Yeah, definitely. But I think it's just Attenborough's nature, where he treats people with so much respect and stuff like that. Like there was one where he went into the big gorilla enclosure. I forget where it is, but he just treated the woman who owned that with so much respect that he actually got to go in there in person.
Yeah, I think it's that he treats animals as well with the same respect. You know, he really does respect the earth and what happens within it. So, and he loves telling the stories and educating people. So
maybe he's capturing a planet that people won't recognise in 50 or 100 or 200 years' time. Hopefully, for their sake, it will still be around.
Maybe he might do one on Mars.
Well, thank you, Fraser, for coming in to join us. We've had an absolute ball with you this week.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much. Now, unfortunately, that's another end of a Showreel episode. Bridget and I have had a great time over the last 4 weeks with you. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube and Facebook, and a new duo of hosts will see you next week, same time, same place on Showreel. Bye for now.